What's up and welcome back. Today we're talking about how Red Dead Online is even worse for Xbox players. I'm Bandit, Barney, bringing you everything you need to know about Red Dead 2 and Red Dead Online. So what spurs this video is the new update that came earlier today, and the fact that PlayStation players are getting more and better things than Xbox players at the moment. Let's go over the update right now and then we'll dive more into that regarding the title. But to start out with, in the update, we're getting target races, which are essentially our races where instead of you having a checkpoint that you run your horse through, there's little targets that you have to shoot on your way through, and that's how you essentially get the checkpoint. So essentially races, but now you're using a bow and arrow to hit your checkpoints. That came out for Xbox and PlayStation. Now for PlayStation 4 players, we're getting early access to open target races, which are the same thing, but instead of going in a line and having to hit certain checkpoints, you just have to hit all the targets in total in order to finish the race. So the one I did, there's 21 targets in total, and we've had something similar to this, but now we're shooting the targets instead of just running through them. On top of that, for this week, it seems like we're getting a 20% XP boost in all XP earning activities. So anything that's going to earn you XP, we're getting a 20% boost. It's this theme that Rockstar has of keep giving this incentive to get players to play. I don't think that a 20% XP boost is that strong of incentive. On top of that, though, they're getting 25% off all things in the horse care section of the catalog. And if you're a higher ranked player, really this only applies to like level 80 plus players, you can get 25% off improved saddles this week. Outside of that, the Morning Tailcoat, Strickland boots, Boyer boots, which are female only, and furred gloves are in the catalog today. And Rockstar wants to remind you that don't worry, showdown modes Up in Smoke and Plunder are coming in the future, along with the big update that we talked about last time coming later in the spring. So let's dive in more specifically to target races, which are the new mode that both sides of the console have, or rather both consoles have. And this mode is essentially just a race where you're shooting the target to get through your checkpoints. Each target is a checkpoint. And I want to start out by saying that I think racing in and of itself in Red Dead Online is pretty lackluster. Racing in GTA 5 and GTA Online is a huge thing, and cars are a huge thing. Obviously, horses are a huge thing in Red Dead 2 as well, but there's just not the same level of fun you get out of racing a car as you do out of racing a horse. First off, all the horses are not so much faster than each other. Horses can only travel so quickly, whereas cars can travel super quickly. So you have the high-end car who's traveling at massive speeds, and then you have that low-end car that can't quite keep up. But when it comes to horses, you don't have that high-end horse that's traveling at massive speed, and the low-end horse essentially has less stamina, so they just aren't traveling as far because they run out of stamina. But when it comes to racing, there's methods for you to gain stamina, and in these target races, shooting the targets will gain you stamina as well as running over the stamina barrels. So that's all fine and dandy, but when it comes to races, that means that there's not a big difference in what your equipment is to how you're going to race. That coupled with the massive issue that we'll touch on in a little bit, but there's really not that gap. So I think this is a problem, not with just target races, but racing in general in the game, is that there's not that gap in racing. And so when you're racing, if you're in the back, you feel like, okay, well, you can't really get much farther. And if you're in the front, you can't really create a massive gap without shooting the other players, without, taking out the competition. And once you get in a race and you get killed, good luck. You can no longer get first. There's no coming back from it. Once you get killed in the race, your chances of getting first are over. You can no longer achieve first, and this applies to the target races. I think that this is something that really hurts this style of game mode in Red Dead Online. When I dropped into the target race, first I did notice that I had a significant lead on everyone else. We didn't all start in like a line or anything like that. We just kind of got plopped in like a spawn, and I just was ahead of everyone else. So I ended up winning first for the sole purpose of me starting in front of everyone and then me not dying. So if you can, if you get in first place and you don't die, you're gonna win probably. Although the horses aren't so much faster than one another, that also helps when you're in first place, because no one's really going to catch up to you. And once you're in first, as long as you don't die, you're going to maintain that position. So I think it kind of takes some of the fun out of actually racing these doing this style of game mode, which is something that Rockstar in the future is going to have to work on. How can we make these races actually fun? Because right now the races don't even compare to the other modes that they've got, like Spoils of War that they released a week or so ago. That is, in my opinion, their best game mode they've released so far. When it comes to races, there's these two big downsides. One, once you die, it's over. You have no chance of winning the race. And two, the races are short. They're like 3 minutes long, and then it's over. And if you win, you're in first place, you finish, you spend like 2 to 3 minutes of just watching the other players try to finish this race. It's longer in open target races than it is in the regular target races, but nonetheless, you're gonna finish and you're just gonna watch everyone else wait for them to finish, essentially. And during that time, you're losing time on which you could be making money, earning those gold nuggets. And when you do finish first in one of these races, you're gonna earn between 4 and 8 gold nuggets. Like something like 20 or 12 bucks or something like that, I think is the most I earned when I was doing these target races. And then you're going to earn like 300 experience. So it's not a lot of money for the amount of time that you spend loading in and waiting. So the reward isn't there for especially these target races. And then when it comes to just the enjoyment of the race, like I said, it needs to be worked on. These races don't have a good method. Once you die, it's over. You don't have a chance of winning. And they're short and they feel clunky right now. They feel a little bit clunky. The best way to win these races would be, the target races specifically, would be to set it so that you have auto sprint on. Once you start sprinting, you keep sprinting and just hit your targets as you maintain your sprint. I noticed myself having a big advantage over the players that didn't have that set, because when I was aiming, I didn't slow down so much. So that helped out a lot. But all in all, target races, I'd give it, out of 10, 10 being the best, probably a 4 or a 3. They're just not super fun. And that's what Xbox players get as well as PlayStation players. When it comes to the PlayStation 4 early access, the open target races, those are more fun because you do have a little bit less of players versus player killing each other, because everyone's kind of going in their own direction and trying to figure out what targets to hit. And when it comes to the target race, there's not a big difference in the name of these. Open target is the one that PlayStation players have exclusive early access to. Target race is the one that both consoles have. And when it comes to the target races, players really aim to shoot the people in first place or in front of them, because that's the best way of getting in front of people, because actually racing in the game isn't really what's going to get you ahead, since all the horses have a similar speed. So instead, killing other players is the way to get there. That's what hurts the target races. Open target races, you don't have as much of that, but it's still like you're just traveling over terrain that's uneven, and it just doesn't feel smooth. It doesn't feel like a smooth game mode. I think Spoils of War was the closest we got to like a smooth, fun game mode. And target races, the racing side of game modes isn't near where the PvP style of game modes is. Racing side needs a lot of work. It's not nearly as fun. PvP is much more fun. Love to know what you guys think down below, but that's my opinion on the matter. All in all, in this update, Xbox is getting the short end of the stick, because target races are one of the, I mean, in my opinion, I'm not a fan, clearly you guys can tell, of the racing. I think it needs a rework and some things changed to it. For now, it's what we have, and Xbox players getting the target races, it's not good. It's not good, and open target races are much better. I'd give them like maybe a 5 or a 6 out of 10. They're much better, but that's a PlayStation early access. So when is Xbox players going to get it? I'm not sure. So far, that's everything we're getting in the update. It's not a big update. And I gotta say, just to add to a little bit of a disappointment, you know, we've stopped uploading every single day on the channel to try and give more substance to the videos that we do upload. So you're probably going to see these uploads coming each time Rockstar releases an update or a new game mode for Red Dead Online. To add to a little bit of the disappointment that I've had over the past weeks, we still don't have Up in Smoke and Plunder. So it's good that, you know, sweet, Rockstar does something new, I can make a video on it, but I just like to see the game gaining traction a little bit faster. It's not doing that. It's kind of going the opposite direction. You can see that Rockstar is each week giving us something, a new incentive. This week it's 20% boost on all XP activities. So they've done like specific activities in the past, and it looks like they're just continually stepping up what they're releasing as far as incentive to play, a little bit more and more and more here and there. We aren't getting gold bars incentive so much, because I think that gold bars is something where players are just jumping on and playing for 2 minutes and then jumping off, whereas these XP boosts are kind of incentive for the players that are going to jump on for a little bit and actually gain and take advantage of that XP incentive. So I think that's why we're not seeing gold bars as much, but we are still getting the incentives from Rockstar, and it just doesn't seem like so much. It doesn't seem like so much. That's been kind of my common theme that I've had in the last few weeks with them. I know that some of you don't agree, but I know that a lot of you actually do agree that the game needs a little bit more. Right now, we're not getting that. Hopefully, this big new update in spring comes and we get something good. I'm not exactly sure when summer starts, but I'm guessing that's somewhere after June or late June. So we have essentially, we're at the end of the 3rd month of the year. We have essentially 2.5 months for that big update to come out. It probably will be at the very end of spring. I don't see this coming earlier than that. But right now, just hold out, guys. Hold out for that, because up until then, we're just going to be getting little drip-fed content until we get something bigger. And once they release Up in Smoke and Plunder, which is probably going to be the next 2 weeks, we'll get out those 2 pieces of content. I'm not sure what they're going to be adding. We may be getting something as a surprise, or we may go into a hibernation mode where we don't really get anything until that big spring update. That's my 2 cents on the matter. I hope you guys are having a great day. I hope you enjoy your week. Get it started on the right foot. And outside of that, thank you guys that have kept supporting the channel. We're going to try and going forward just give substance to the content. That's why we didn't upload except once last week, and we're going to try and maintain only uploading when we have something of substance to bring you. So we will upload as often as we can while maintaining that notion, and I hope y'all are okay with that and continue to support the channel. Take care, guys. Until next time. Later.